Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you need to develop into a better leader, this podcast is for you. If you want to achieve a greater level of success, this podcast is for you. His mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, said it best: everything rises and falls on leadership. We hope to inspire you today and provide you with an insight that has the potential to positively impact the trajectory of your life. Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast.
Hello everyone. This is Coach BZ, and welcome to another session of the Leadership and Success Podcast. Today, I have a very important guest. His name is Amandeep Midha, and like me, he's a member of the Forbes Technology Council. He's been a CTO and is now a principal for a fintech organization. Amandeep, how are you? Good morning.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yes, all good. I'm based in Copenhagen. It's around end of work day. It's around nearly 4 o'clock. So all good on a Friday. Yeah,
Right. It's pretty amazing how technology can really bring people together. There is pretty much no more distances these days. Can you tell us more
absolutely.
about your leadership story, how you got to be where you are now?
Well, it depends. Like from where should I start? I had my technology education, which is a computers application from India, and then I started working with product organizations mainly. I was based in China with the Huawei, and then I was with an Israeli employer, NDS, and in between a lot of travels in terms of kind of a product revisions, product migrations, and handling the delivery responsible roles and project lead kind of a role. And then my journey branched off to being in Denmark, and where I started like as an integration engineer lead, then CTO for a fintech company, and now I'm with the banking setup. We call it also BEC Financial Technologies. So that's my kind of a technology career. Yes.
Yeah, so for the people who are watching us now, especially those who are just getting started, they just got a college degree, and one day they would like to become a CTO or a principal or some type of IT executive, what advice do you have for them?
It first of all, like, it depends on individual aspiration. Like, are you a person who kind of is driven by technology or wants to build something on that technology? So you can be an excellent technology product user, evangelist, or you can be a developer engineer, or you can be a marketing and salesperson. So you can be enthused by the technology in like a different dimension. It depends which suits your interest more. And we have like seen like absolutely no technical background people doing amazingly well as a product evangelist, as product managers, because they come up with the idea, they have a feel of the market. So it depends. What do you want to become and what you're looking for? Yes, in today's world, I will say that like knowing at least one programming language to get started with is must. Is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, that is quite fascinating. So just really making up your mind what you would like to do. There are so many opportunities out there, especially in my subfield in cybersecurity. There is such a great need for people, professional, but there is just not enough people to do the job. I think as of
Yeah.
last year, it was more than 2.3 million jobs worldwide lacking professionals. So there's definitely a whole lot of opportunities out there. And what would you also say about kind of the diversity of the IT community, right? And I remember when I first got into IT, maybe 23 years ago, it was mostly male and mostly white. And I've seen a lot more diversity today, which I really believe is a great thing for business, right? People coming with different ideas. Like you said, all of them don't have to be like scientists or computer programmer. I feel like there is like a place for everyone. And I see technology like really the field of the future, right? What do you think?
Yes, we say that we are into technology, and all we know is technology, and all we know is to deliver technology. But yes, we live as part of society. And on interesting note, like today is like so happens with the International Men's Day, and we have Women's Day, and we have like different diversity initiatives as we see. Um, I will say in Western world versus the Eastern world, where like we worked in like China, India, Israel, I still call like half
Mm-hmm.
East only. There's a much more participation from women in IT compared to the Western world. And though the very Western world says and takes pride in what do you say, the choice and the career choice and empowerment, but it's not seen in the participation actually. But we are also seeing that like there's a consistent rise in that what do you say, the diversity index. Well, actually nobody has devised a diversity index. I just threw the term right now,
Mm-hmm.
not to be quoted for it. But so is but there's a consistent rise what we are seeing. And when what is required is like a kind of a encouraging and promoting anyone and everyone who has a kind of like starting at a curiosity level. So
Mm-hmm.
if at a very childhood stage, let me say like if a boy or a girl child like having curiosity towards a gadget, or like how it works and how I can make it work and how can I tweak it, how can I change its behavior, oh you can program it maybe and you can
Yes.
work on it, so how do I get started learning it? So that's like a curiosity channeling at the whole level. Then we see something in like education institutes. In India, for example, where I originally come from, is like, I think if I'm not wrong, maybe 37% kind of a workforce is female IT.
Wow.
And I've been to Technical University Berlin in 2017 to give a talk around. It was a MS embedded systems batch of students,
Mm-hmm.
41 students who are doing embedded systems masters. Embedded systems happen to the more complicated side of the tech.
Mm-hmm.
So 44 total, two women, and both were ethnic
Wow.
Chinese in Germany.
Interesting.
So I mean, like
So like 5% only. Yeah.
well, yeah, and then we kind of struggle at a different level, like filling the board positions and kind of like
Mm-hmm.
trying to build the diversity top down. Well, initiatives are working, and I am not strongly for or strongly against the quotas.
Mm-hmm.
But as a kind of representation is definitely required, because it brings the perspectives to the board. It brings to kind of a style of administration, as you said, like
Yes.
it's very male archetype kind of gets defined as a work culture.
Mm-hmm.
No, the workplace has to be for all. Workplace has to be inclusive, and it can be made inclusive if you set an example, leadership being inclusive. So, but tech as an overall field is always on a fast churn. Something is always going on. You're
Yes.
always chasing something new coming up. And then you cannot define that this comes from particular gender. Then it's like, okay, this is what it is, and what needs to be done next. So whether you scale up the team with more diversity, or you kind of a test your product a little bit more, or you encourage certain people in your team to kind of collaborate and work on building a product idea. It again depends on the vision of the company. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a filling the diversity seats for the sake of it, but having a continuous career path for them is
Yes.
also important. So
Yeah. That is a very important point. And you mentioned leadership earlier. How does someone who's just getting started, uh, w- what do you think? Because I really believe everybody has the potential to become a leader, right? And I think in the 21st century, leadership is probably one of the most critical skills today. Now we have automation technology pretty much taking away a lot of the entry level jobs everywhere, but I feel
yeah,
like we
yeah.
will always need leaders. So how does someone aspire to become a leader or a better leader, in your opinion, in the IT field?
Yeah, I think it begins with you being authentic with yourself. That's like any leadership, and then which part of technology leadership is you actually excel in. right?
Mhm.
As the classical thing says, like that the leader versus manager thing, right? So as a leader, you're the thought leader, you're the evangelist. You kind of lead, you can lead by an example. You can jump in to one team or different teams as a like a master troubleshooter or kind of a negotiator. Those are all leadership, right? So we cannot just distinguish by titles like, oh, you're the tech lead, you're the project manager, and if you have your hands on code, then you're leader. If your hands are off code, then you're not a leader. It again depends on different work cultures, as I see. So one thing is like able to work in team. Of course, we all always work in a team. So, and then it's like having your own personal influence, which comes from knowledge, which also comes from experience, which also comes from kind of empathy towards your peer team members, and also able to be able to reach a conclusion. Like a lot of times we see, like even a team meeting, when you're put together and you're maybe you could be very good listener, you could be very good kind of mutual respect sparring partner and all, but also if you kind of drive those notes and like, hey, so this is our conclusion, so that is another kind of a leadership, as we sometimes call like the product evangelist kind of a person should have. Like, hey, so this is what is coming out, this is the priority, this is what we're signing up for. So you basically, yeah, like use, let me say this way, I say this in different coaching conversations, that you automatically stand out by what you bring to the table. You don't just bring the skills of yourself, you also listen to others, and you also kind of make a proposition like, what can we do next? So that already makes you a leader.
That is
Yeah.
quite fascinating. Now, can you tell us how you came to become an official member of the Forbes Technology Council?
Yeah, well, I was part of a fintech company before as a CTO, which was a first Danish fintech, which was incubated at Techstars, New York, in 2016. So 2016, we were there for quite much time, and then we were the first IoT device which was connected to an app, which is connected to a bank account, and it was for children. So imagine, it was a minefield of compliance. We have children pictures also, so children's. Different laws applied on us, electronic device gadget law applied on us, plus banking regulations all applied on us. So it looked like a toy, but it was a very complicated technology product that I will say we were building in 2016. We also had to comply to the one of the latest cybersecurity regulation that time, UL 2900B. It came in September 2016, so it was
Hmm.
one of the latest ones. So we in Nordics and Denmark, we are the first, though, that what you say, the thought group, expert group around that. So imagine, like, not just doing the banking integration, but going through all these compliance circuses. So
Yes.
that was a part of a thing, plus banking regulations and all the banking securities, ISO 27001, passing that. And also that brought me to a lot of different stages to talk about our product and our founders also. And that is the time I think I was approached by Forbes Tech Council, somebody, and the kind of a process started off and all that.
Yes.
But 2.5 years I was super busy. But around the fag end of it, my tenure with that fintech, I kind of settled in. Yes, I'm kind of signing up for this, and now I could. And by the time I had jumped
Okay.
to the new job as well. So this is how I got
Wow.
into Forbes Tech Council. And you might have seen my writings are mostly on tech upskilling and
Hmm.
social learning kind of a things, because the next challenge which I see is like, yeah, you could see the potential of technology, you could have done a demonstrative work in certain technology or integrations, but at a larger scale workforces and like in a large setups, they totally need to be migrated, they need to be kind of infused with the kind of different flavors of what new technology makes it possible.
Hmm.
So my kind of role, and my coming articles, actually you'll see deep technical on data pipelines probably. I'm already giving you a hint.
Yes.
And so basically it's about the journey is about like you being noticed for the work that you do in specific relevant to industry. It
Mm-hmm.
could be pioneering work. It could be kind of work which brings you a lot of eyeballs, maybe not money, because it was a kids banking experience product.
Mm-hmm.
Not much money. It looks more like a social product or a kind of a banking retention product. So basically, but yeah, so that's how I ended up in Forbes Tech Council.
Well, that is wonderful. So definitely, I love the opportunities you have to publish and also have a pretty big audience worldwide. What are some of your most cherished benefit in the council?
I think it's an ability to kind of spar or like talk with different people. There are some forums and the
Yeah.
Corona times we can always complain about. Right, Corona times a lot of these Forbes chapters were like online. L,
Yes.
LA chapter is online, San Fran chapter is online, New York chapter is online. Yeah, sure, I will join in. Forbes Tech Council definitely lacks kind of real presence in Europe. Let me say this way,
Yeah.
the chapters here need to be started and activated. But so far, I have no complaints. I'm kind of enjoying the part, and I also notice I'm like a slightly proud of that I was the seventh person in Denmark to be on Forbes Tech Council, and
Wow.
first
That's pretty
and the
amazing.
first and first non Dane, or like non-white, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one more person after me, who's the eighth person.
Pretty
He
cool.
happens to be an ethnic Ukrainian, so he's also like.
Wow.
So now we are like, so we are eight. We are eight in Denmark, and like last two, 7 and 8, we are like ethnic
Yes.
non-Danes, but based in Denmark.
That is
So
quite something. So I think I'm hearing that you're gonna be volunteering to start a chapter there in Denmark. I need to get a hold of the
I'm
concierge.
I am up for it. Actually, when actually the Forbes FinTech channel chapter also started,
Hmm.
and we were kind of thinking of it and discussing around it. But I think the Forbes FinTech channel went more into the cryptocurrency direction,
Yes,
not
true,
like
true.
we are still in the banking and the traditional finance. Yeah.
Yeah, before I ask you my seven favorite question, another question I need to ask you: Where do you see technology going from here? What
I
is
think
trending in the next 5 years? You think?
technology will always continue to evolve. There is always something coming up next, and in kind of some coaching conversation to like a non-tech people who move into like a lateral or middle roles in tech. I always suggest them to read one book which called "Who Says Elephants Cannot Dance" by Louis Gessner, who is ex CEO of IBM. So it basically describes what it takes, like how technology industry is different than other industries. How sometimes the first mover advantage can be an advantage that you become a standard for rest of others, everyone to follow, and also it has its own disadvantages. So when somebody proposes kind of a blockchain space, and somebody builds a decentralized finance kind of system, I'm like, I took like 3 steps forward, how we went to DeFi from blockchain. So whoever proposes first has a definite advantage to kind of accumulate a lot of what do you say, proposals, and we saw with those ICOs as well. Again, not getting the quality and the useful part of those ICOs and those things, but one thing we must notice that every of those promises was a groundbreaking promise in a way that, like, it offered something new. It offered a new way of working, a new way of delivering your traditional product, or a new way of what do you say, it could be supply chain, it could be like your data collection, it could be privacy. So basically, like that thought leadership is kind of continuously going, and now we are talking about DAOs and everything. Kind of, they could be replacing actually our voting system, democracy. So technology
Yeah.
influence is going further and far, and it is just starting to accelerate.
The something you said right before we had these technical difficulties, just how the technology is just growing and
Yeah,
expanding so much. And I was saying,
yeah.
no, when my great grandparents were alive, no, they could only dream about things that are happening today, and just the way the technology has just exploded. It's just amazing, right? Science fiction becomes reality, And now we already have more than 600 people or so who have gone to outer space, which is just mind-boggling. And very soon it might even be natural for everybody to just go to space and
yeah.
back. It's quite incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally understand, but like I do have a kind of an inclusive side view of what if those people who do not migrate to the latest technology. So I have one of my parent who could not migrate to a touch screen phone. So
Mm.
still, like every third year, I have to find a good button phone who could be useful, and it is so hard to find a pure button phone. And so
Yeah.
it's like there is always a segment which probably will not be adopting or will not be comfortable with that. What we do as a society, what we do as a tech entrepreneur, is an open question. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I
But especially where I live now, Silicon Valley, I think it's the mecca of technology and innovation. It's like we pretty much move, at the speed of thought at times. But yeah, I definitely see your point. Okay, now thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. Now down to my last 7 question, my favorite question. So one being, what is the greatest lesson you have learned?
I will say this way, like when you start working and when you kind of start learning, you always have many ideas. So not to give up on any of the ideas, I will say. So one idea may not work at one place, one employer, one geography with one set of co-founders, but might work at another one. So don't give up and don't just drop your ideas. Yeah, so that's the lesson I would say.
That is nice. So being consistent and persistent. So what do you attribute to the secret of your success?
I will say, yeah, something like that. That you never give up, or you always have a kind of a respect for the perspectives.
Hmm.
You always have something that what can I actually contribute here, and you always kind of do a self assessment of, am I actually contributing something here, am I providing value. So am I providing value is, I think, is very relevant and very objective. It keeps you also on the task, and also the organization, your employer, also kind of benefits from it. Yeah.
That is so important, being able to actually add value, right? Regardless of your background, where you're coming from, but being able to add something to the table that's going to be
Yeah.
valuable to your company, to the market. So, what are you learning now?
Right now I'm kind of focusing myself on more on the data pipelines and data architecture within technology, and how it is going to become much more important, and with the AI, when the data flows will become much bigger, with much larger. So this is what I'm kind of investing myself in right now to kind of, if you ask me about the technology side, yes.
Yes, wonderful. And how has failure shaped your life?
Yeah, I think failure is all about like hitting back the ground again, and like it's a kind of taking as a, like a step to, you have to step through many failures to kind of reach whatever you like to reach, or what you find appropriate to reach. So it's a failure does builds resilience, and also a kind of it also tests your perseverance, like how truly you want it, like how desperate you are to actually want it. So I will say that approach. Yeah.
Good, good. Yeah, because I think so some people they don't realize that failure and success are really two sides of the same coin, right? And many times
Yeah.
people have really changed their life and found their destiny by going through failure. Um, so there is my fourth question. Who do you
Yes.
know whom we should know? Like, who are your mentors, thought leaders? Who are you following that our audience should follow as well?
Okay, I will say that, like, I'm grateful for my education by my parents in a very different environment. So I had a professor on business ethics in my MBA, executive MBA, and then who always challenged me like, Amandeep, there is always one more perspective. Even if you, when you know it all, if you know the whole situation, a decision making case or situation or social situation, there's always one more perspective. There's always one more perspective. So, and today when we talk about, like you started this chat with about diversity, inclusion, and we also talk
Mm-hmm.
about customer centricity. I think that that knowledge around like seeking another perspective, I immediately find myself very connected and very grounded with like, yeah, I may know like 10 things, but I'm kind of always seeking maybe what's the 11th thing. What else can be here? What else could be a perspective here from a diverse standpoint, from a kind of a customer standpoint, from
Mm-hmm.
from ecosystem partner standpoint, from a country governance society standpoint. So that I will say like has been a consistent run around me. So as a thought leader, as a thought leader whom I'm following, phew, I do, I do read Nassim Nicholas Taleb.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not saying like I blindly follow any, but I do. I have been following Kathy Wood,
Mm-hmm.
Kathy Wood, and what all decisions she's making, the statement she's making. Ray Dalio on principles, and now his latest book is
There's
out,
a
and
good one.
yeah, and I'm also going for the latest book which came from our Jeffrey Moore, The Infinite Staircase. I'm yet to order that book. So I'm
Nice.
going for these books. So my plan is to like be ready with these all books read in Q1 next year.
Wonderful. Actually,
Yeah.
this is a good bridge to the next question. You also mentioned Louise Grexner, right? Who says elephant can't dance. So the next question
Yes.
is, what have you read that I should read, and what is the best book you have read recently?
Um, well, well, it might sound a bit on the edge, but I would say, especially in the current world that we are right now living with,
Hmm.
Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand so far is the best, I would say. Not that you have to take the best lesson of empathy from the book. Please don't. But there's the important lesson of being objective and
Hmm.
standing up for your reality and standing up for like nobody else should be defining the morality for you.
Hmm.
Morality is your own accepted code of conduct and your own values, and you look more inwards to present yourself to the world, I will say. So Atlas Shrugged, I will say, probably comes the best book I will suggest if somebody has not read.
Hmm.
And also with the kind of a corona situation and the lockdowns and the state control kind of like subjects which are delicate to discuss otherwise in public sphere. It's always important like to see the pros and cons of where we stand now, where are we headed, what kind of government we want, who is very authoritarian, who decides everything for you, or individual should be deciding. So it's like having a balance of individualism and collectivism. So maybe a book from Steve Hannon,
Hmm.
uh, why is freedom and why we have invented it, but I'm forgetting the title. Sorry, Daniel Hannon. So that's a nice book as well, I will say that. So not that you have to start any movement of something, but as a tech contributor, as a tech leader, you have your independent voice, and you stand on objective ground, because there are very compelling forces always to tell you like, oh, this may not look good, this is may not be appropriate. um, so 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 I will say that like some of that literature are always make you be yourself. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and it's really good. I guess me too. My background is very scientific, right? So I did chemistry, biology in college, and I almost got a PhD in microbiology. So you always have to pretty much question everything, but knowing that you don't
Yes.
know everything and you are always
Yes.
open to learn, right, and evolve. So, which brings me to my sixth question: what have you done that I should do? What is one action you have taken that has positively impacted your life?
Uh, well, I will say that to positively impact when I'm not so positive, and also to kind of seek more perspectives, and to picking your seeking of diversity also in practice. So I will say travel. So when you're stressed, go on a travel. When you're seeking perspectives, go on a travel. When you're feeling not positive enough, and go on a travel. So traveling to, like, I will say, like an over a weekend or a longer, to discover a place, to unknown place, fresh, and try to think like a local. If you had the same situation, same problem at work, at business, or with an individual, how would you perceive, or how would you resolve in that geography, that being local over there? I think that is a quite a refreshing meditation for me individually. It may not be for anyone else, but that has been a very positive impact for me. And it kind of makes me kind of like sometimes a travel planner for my close friends. So I do plan their travels and their detailed itineraries sometime. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now I know to contact for my next travel plan. No, this is
Yeah.
so wonderful. At least changing scenarios, right? Another thing kind of related to that is,
Yes.
especially in Silicon Valley,
Exactly.
people work so hard, like 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week, and they don't take time off. And especially after this Corona and pandemic, you really need some mental days off where you don't work and you just will relax or travel or meditate or whatever it is now that
Yeah.
replenishes you. So important. So we're coming to the very last question. How can I add value to you? How can our listener add value to you?
I think my contact details are there. So I would love any conversation which increases at my looking at perspectives. If you're a tech user in something, if you have something to say, I'm like all ears all the time. And the talk about perspective, same we apply in technology, architectures, in hiring people, or sharpening ourselves. So basically, any conversation, if you see, is always adding value, and I would love to kind of have more such conversations. Sure.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone, for this edition of Leadership and Success. I was with my friend Amandeep Midha, CTO, accomplished IT executive, and we are so glad that you were able to join us. Hopefully, you've got some insight about becoming a better leader and having greater success in your life. We are going to be posting all of the books that he mentioned, so you can purchase them and expand your mind and your learning. And hopefully, this has added value to your life today. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our channels and come back for more wisdom nuggets on how you may develop into a better leader and achieve greater levels of success. Leadership is the most critical skill. The world will always need leaders to lead others, deploy the next disruptive technology, or execute a business strategy. You may as well decide on counting yourself among the 21st century leaders. See you right here next time on the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.